Free. A meter in line found. A meter in line found blind. Do you think it's gonna happen again? It won't happen around for the known to beware for the turn. You can rise in the black and unexpected for the revenge. Is sweet enough for the cooling and leaping to the future for the sun. Have no eye for the condition of the secret sound. Banner for the close load. Notice what you're building in there for the picture for the frame. And the untitled for the sketch it's getting hard to tell. Dissect for the new year for all these universal numbers is long time ahead for this to be the half for the easier mind for the getting more out of life for the divine for the tree life for the giving it. I'ma do that with a point blank. It's a labor of love and no taking time off work. And will you do that missing the train of thought? It's God's whisper feather light floating promises like wind. All access to stay with me in the time to hold that ocean and still have a pull. This is the sleepless dream state. I used to swim in the deep water for the blue hurricane season. For this is the way for the world goes around. For this to hold hands and praise, spread your arms and the words to say the echoes of you can be confused. Safe mode, marinate. I would like to fade away into the days and let the silence float. 3 years and cheers for the existence, for the pathology, for the board, for the future, for the coming up, for the battle, for the future. Know the particle, the horizons, for the future splendors and memory banks of the lost. Night for the vision and nurture my wounded heart. This is the song solar. On the rise for the long, for the goner, for the dark matter, for the brand new world order. Memories for the youth, for the crossing my mind, and you have a heart for you don't know how to enemies and all around for you to want to declare the war for the blood, for the cobblestone to the rise, adventure, the son of the gun, so you have yourself in the sea. Make you feel bones in the grave. That is not my home, then do you see the half of the half scene for the have no eyes for the exploder? Fails you, fail in love for the transition of birth, for the falling for the tree, for the birth of a flower, for this is where you found for you an island grows. Snow shore, sandy time warm for the floor, for the bridge and the breathing silent for the apart for the miracle of the screen. Your song for you to clap your hands and look like a sunshine for the clouds and the details of war for these of love and youth and have the longest days to the touch of dusty roads. Remember our days, years. Have different mirrors and what grows, what shows the threading needle for the stained glass that you failed. Walk about the attic with the memories stuck in the basement we couldn't laugh at for the outfit. Didn't seem suitable enough for the innocent. We dreamed and all that we knew. Clever Jesus, we're going to be here for coming up to the house of the death in the barnyard for the trample for the rose garden for the green grass. Not to make it the rain. These windshields can't hold vision. In the night, your refreshing breath of grips. Reach your cloud edge. Reach your closer for the objects for the particles of the years, and we want the privilege of the poor hand to forge. Exposed for the new year for the universal numbers to vibrate. The crash of blue velvet just like the Indian big bag for the bright with the wings and they won't behave for the shut have the canes. We play these games. The moon parade at the ocean will survive for the refugee for the having way too many problems and follow that for the leader for the you blue stranded. Blood for the province, if only for the truth you wake up and find your wedding. You had a road down the line for that punch and I'm bored for this job's killing me for in it for the little house of savage for the cat on the roof for the traveling and the prestige your mind for the only the masking of the soul immense of the parables and no one to notify the king for his dead is paradise. Lost divine and free for the nothing the same. Remember who you were to keep it living. Forever break it down.
Skin the best Brown's kitchen.
They say you can't have nice things, and your souls will be war. Cause your dirt road ain't paid. You're closing yourself off a job, but baby, you got a song to sing. So to hell with that, just shout. And this song makes you king, so sing out. Hey, no, my babe, they just blind. Just you wait till they see you shine. Hey, 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 never let them dim and never give up your fight. If you do, they can take your life. Hey, you're a gift from above. You're a gift from above. Child, listen, you love. Say, hey, show them my love, baby. Shower your love, baby.
And when we connect the dots to the stars. And when we connect the dots. And when we connect. And when we connect the dots to the stars. You can see the God transforming the space matter for the even then, for the everything is on beat all the time. For one day this will unfold for the picture that strikes a pose and that become undone.
They say you cannot nice things, and your souls will be war. They say you cannot nice things. They say you cannot nice things, and your souls will be war. Cause your dirt road ain't paid. You're closing yourself off a door.
Since the day I discovered the love that had the fragrance in my heart still grasps for the air, for the substance from the now, the better, for the understanding, for the appreciate dust, it is all the time spent for the wine. And the wind would tell us in which direction that home is. My imaginary friend who I can't see but know she's there for the peace for the scene. We call it despair alone for just the first time, for the distant, for your fear, for remember the time, for the season to pass us and died there. I think I missed that steady peace, to be still for the light, for the going back there, for the I did it for the distant, for the sun making the dust storms. You'll always be one in this and a million, for the never the lonely, for the sense of direction, the shining light throughout the cosmos. A mockery, sort of like how your blood travels inside of me, for the how you're facing now and another place where you can stand and have all me. I may do what I say, but I think, and right now I think that love is a mirror for the reflecting of the only love. Light out of her mouth and like the sky opening set free. We dance and slow for decades and passing seasons and seasons, drifting to no destination after the sun sets the tables for the stars. We've forgotten by far for the brightest in the minds and can't say what we really feel, but the better if you're unsaid for they can't make it cry. Your aim is true for so long, for the now heart buried the underground. Progress is promising next to the bloodstream of the view, for the distance honest of the big structure, for the near the river, for the windows and crossing the iron bars. Much to gloom for the only the birds knew about that time. We can make the singing songs of this too good to be called the truth for the feather brain. While other rhymes, gang slangs to the winner for the blues and the haiku can't count the number for the rhythm for the reticule for the primitive problem to keep that core obsolete. And of course it will find the superstitious reprimanded for the owner the color of the emotions that'll be confined to finely tongue. Listen, don't be the faith breaker. You still on your chain, child, with the remaining of the soul for the kids and need to be calm. Calm down for the out of when you can wash me out for the noise, another drawing to kill the meters for the only the favorite places sometimes lose inside of you, becoming harder to remember for the only the melting of ice in the brain. My kindness will be conceived and I feeling for the kind of the twilight for the changing of savory. Scenery for the picture of the different frame for the distant residing inside of their ways and no victory in war for the grassy corners and I need an outlet for it will never be too late to dance and I'm telling you. The meaningless for the hallucination for the smile for just to be the sad sunshine for to be cool and not hear me listen. Love is that fight. For the heights that might write about, for the subject to talk about, for the budget, for the drop to make you manifested and making your mess and you can come clean for the waste. It was all left behind for the properly stored and unseen. We spoke about the silent treatment when they mentioned in the meaning of apology for the offer to take me with the offer. What you really say is, yo, exhale. For the levitate, for the gravity, for the move back and slow again, for the coming again, for the what you allowed yourself to think, for the belonging here, for the beloved, for the deceived, for the sin, for the cost negotiated, for the anticipation, for the long overdue books and obsolete libraries. And it didn't make sense to maybe a history untold for this to get it old and hold together the glass of the value for they told you that it was richer, the spirit was desired you to a tree for the relative, for the obvious. Conscious there for the ever living, for the complete capture, for the captivity, for the gravity, for the grounded, for the view by your feet, for the soul, for the house of the greedy, for the respect, for that's the hazard of the Constitution. We revolutionize hypocrisy, abandon the sense for the common to your superficial ego, for the she goes the same. Orbit for the force to put in the gratitude for the symbolic to the surreal thoughts and that. Create no blocks just because you have a justice system to conclude. You never have to change anything to step outside of your borders and loosen the time for the grip of the posture for the everything tools so you're sharp enough for the cut through the bullshit. Redefine that oppressionated for the opinionated for the gas expression means anything for the plastic enemy we can contain the instant gratification. I'm a victim of the over the two for the too many thinking another consequence, which is ignorance. Ignorant thing to do out and see through time for this to be the here time for the beginning for the underwriting about the pen for the containing of only the thus for the pen of the wonder will be over the instead of the be embracing of the present for the gift that you can make life and no excuse.
Saad el-Hariya. A bird sings for no fly zone between the temples, churches, and mosques. Show
And when we connect the dots to the stars, you can see the God transforming the space matter for the even then, for the everything is unbeat all the time. But one day this will unfold for the picture that strikes the pose that become undone. Since the day I discovered the love that had the fragrance in my heart still grasps for the air, for the substance from the now, the better, for the understanding, for the appreciate dust. It's all the time spent for the wine. And the wind would tell us in which direction that home is. I imagine every friend who I can't see but know she's there for the peace, for the scene. We call her despair alone for this the first time, for the distance, for your fear, for remember the time, for the season to pass us and died there. I think I missed that steady peace of you be still for the life, for the going back there, for the I did it for the distance, for the sun making the dust storms. You'll always be one in this and a million, for the never the lonely, for the sense of direction, the shining light throughout the cosmos. A mockery, sorta like how your blood travels inside of me, for the how you're facing now, and you know the place where you can stand and have all me. I may do what I say, what I think, and right now I think that love is a mirror for the reflecting of the only love. Light out of her mouth and like the sky opening, set free. We dance and slow for decades and passing seasons and seasons, drifting to no destination after the sun sets the tables for the stars. We've forgotten by far for the brightest in the minds that can't say what we really feel, but the better we have unsaid for the can't make it cry. Your aim is true for so long, for the now heart buried underground. Progress is promising next to the bloodstream of the view, for the distance honest to the big structure, for the near the river, for the windows and crossing the iron bars. Much to gloom for the only the birds knew about that time. We can make the singing songs of this too good to be called true for the feather brain. While other rhymes, gang slangs to the winner for the blues, and the haiku can't count the number for the rhythm, for the reticule, for the primitive problem to keep that core obsolete. And of course, it will find the superstitious reprimanded for the under the color, the emotions that we can find to find the tongue. Listen, don't be the faith breaker. You still on your chain, child, with the remaining of the soul for the kids and need to be calm. Calm down for the out of when you can wash me out for the noise and another trying to kill the meters for the debate places sometimes lose inside of you, becoming harder to remember for the only
cleans out the trash from a heart sitting in the attic of a fourth dimension house with no windows. Who listens for loveless lovers, trembling legends, guitar strings, and harmonic hands? Loyal only to raspy, resurrecting remnants of cigarette smoke soul. Low-lit, dim, dirty dancing, juke joint type jazz and jive. Like ancient, no better mind your business until everybody's business is your mind. Pay attention. We're connected like a good chorus. Can't remember the words? Mumble like you know. At the very least sway, love your voice more than your fear, and be free.
And when we connect the dots to the stars, you can see the God transforming the space matter for the even then, for the everything is unbeat all the time. For one day this will unfold for the picture that strikes the pose that become undone. The day I discovered the love that had the fragrance in my heart still grasps for the air, for the substance for the now, the better, for the understanding, for the appreciate dust. It's all the time spent for the wine. And the wind would tell us in which direction that home is. I imagine every friend who I can't see but know she's there for the peace, for the scene. We call her despair alone for just the first time, for the distance, for your fear, for remember the time, for the season to pass us and die. I think I missed that steady peace of you be still for the light, for the going back there, for the I did it for the distance, for the sun making the dust storms. You'll always be one in this and a million, for the never the lonely, for the sense of direction, the shining light throughout the cosmos. A mockery, sorta like how your blood travels inside of me, for the how you're facing now, and you know the place where you can stand and have all me. I may do what I say, what I think, and right now I think that love is a mirror for the reflecting of the only love. Light out of her mouth and like the sky opening, set free. We dance and slow for decades and passing seasons and seasons, drifting to no destination after the sun sets the tables for the stars. We've forgotten by far for the brightest in the minds that can't say what we really feel, but the better we have unsaid for the can't make it cry. Your aim is true for so long, for the now heart buried the underground. Progress is promising next to the bloodstream of the view, for the distance honest to the big structure, for the near the river, for the windows and crossing the iron bars. Much to gloom for the only the birds knew about that time. We can make the singing songs of this too good to be called true for the feather brain. While other rhymes, gang slangs to the winner for the blues, and the haiku can't count the number for the rhythm, for the reticule, for the primitive problem to keep that core obsolete. And of course it will find the superstitious reprimanded for the under the color, the emotions that we can find to find the tongue. Listen, don't be the faith breaker. You still in your chain, child, with the remaining of the soul for the kids and need to be calm. Calm down for the out when you can wash me out for the noise. Another drawing to kill the meters for the only the favorite places. Sometimes lose inside of you, becoming harder to remember for the only the melting of ice and brain. My kindness would be conceived, and I feeling for the kind of the twilight, for the changing of savory. Scenery for the picture of the different frame, for the distant residing inside of the ways, and the victory and war for the grassy corners. And I need an outlet, for it can never be too late to dance. And I'm telling me the meaning is for the hallucination, for the smile, for this to be the sad sunshine, for the be cool to not hear me listening. Love is that fight, for the heights that might write about, for the subjects to talk about, for the budget, for the drop to make you manifest and making your mess, and you can come clean for the waste. It was all left behind for the properly stored and unseen. We spoke about the silent treatment, but they mentioned in the meaning of apology for the offer to take me with the offer. What you could really say is, yo, exhale, for the levitate, for the gravity, for the move back and slow again, for the coming again, for the what, but you can allow yourself to think, for the belonging here, for the beloved, for the deceiver, for the sin, for the cost negotiated, for the anticipation, for the long overdue books and obsolete libraries. And it makes sense to maybe in history untold, for this to get it hold together the glass of the value, for they told you that it was richer, the spirit was steered you to a tree, for the relative, for the obvious. Conscious there for the ever living, for the complete capture, for the captivity, for the gravity, for the grounded, for the greed by your feet, for the soul, for the house of the greedy, for the respect, for that's the how to be the constitution. We revolutionize hypocrisy, abandon the sense for the common to your superficial ego, for the she goes the same. Orbit for the force to pull in the gratitude, for the symbolic to the surreal thoughts and that. Create no blocks, and just because you have a justice system to conclude, you never have to change anything to step outside of your borders and loosen the tie for the grip of the posture, for the everything too, so you're sharp enough to cut through the bullshit. Redefine that oppressionated for their own opinionated for the gas expression means anything but the plastic enemy we can contain the instant gratification. I'm a victim of the over the two for the too many thinking of the consequence, which is ignorance. Ignorant things to doubt and see through time, for this to be the here time, for the beginning, for the only writing about the pen, for the containing that's only the thus, for the pen of the wonder we will be over the instead of the re-embracing of the present, for the gift that you can make life and no excuse. I'm gonna make an honest attempt to use words to describe what I'm trying to say. What I feel right now for the emotion that sells is that the thoughts and the free thought for the I had that when the building is fall. There's nothing but time still the day before yesterday, for the circle that echoes and she finds, and he's still in love with the deep water, for the good faith, for the dream to sleep. I had that many years, and it was only true for the thought, for the loss, and this was one I found for the revenge and wears no wristwatch. But it should take time for the wild justified, for the tease to hold it so, for the not to worry, for the star divine, for the free your iron, remember reading, for the maybe map a point, for the blank, for the all for yourself, and to know how long you can float. Drowning with no lifeguard, for the duties and the somebody's gotta give, for the adolescent, for the still here, that subliminal observation, the incomplete, for the bottom, for the face guards. Deception enough for the purpose and kind of solidated for the mission, the statement for the all wrong, the opening ears and passion, and laid at rest, the oppressed and peers. You can't say goodbye forever for the searching meaning this place in the victory boulevard, for this is to be found in your truth, for the laughing gas stared at the dashboard, for the pandemonium, for the facing your head to the wall. You find the road, for we seen the evening with the breeze and the silver side, the wings, the optimist that never cried, for only you left you let it, for the life changes, no hereditary really rings, and this is strings attaching the opposite. You attract the mirrors to practice the moonwalk. Good at being yourself and never artificially true, that nobody cares of the best, the base, bash, or breeze. You for the not, for the hope, for the created logic, for the would behold that, for the focus and never looking, lock and keep, for the hands down, for believing I'm not. Say nothing like you can hide it in vain, for the another under the hostage, finding the repurpose of the entry to get inside of my head for what you do or say. Written for more acronyms. You can have that BS for the I retrieve that for tomorrow, for the new time, for the knowing the glances how the heavens mirrors and style like the king for the eye, the sky, for the experience that's irrelevant for the choice of the weekend. We think it seems wrong, we feel. Love lie. In a dream for the knowing that's getting is rough. Harder to reach and easier to teach and modify that wishing you can well, for the help me well, for the hip this and the oral exercise and no lex. X. Limitation for the yourself and the manifesto for the always the grits with the baddest spin. For the filling the eyes and read the amongst the shadows, for they're always gonna say this in the end. You really don't want your dough for the penetrate to make a point, for the same on trap, for the meaning you read, for the commentary, for the sunrise to be black, and the economy for the art we live to give it legitimate, for the understanding, but yet it's all to put that for the top. Your lungs are something enough for the air, for the force is high enough for the explosive, don't test me. Ask for aim, for that the same shy receptive, for the regret, for now the short lived, for the sparing, for the torn, for something to think about, for the offering yourself to attention like the third hearing of the wheel. Misfortune cut off the umbilical cord. For this, the compliments of yours. Truly for the relocated, for the resources, something that we can't tolerate. Digs deep, deep and wide for the underneath the scam, for the don't even have the bunker feet, for the table, for the leaves, and the potholes, and over the pretty, for the hideous, and oxymoron for the idiots, and just as dust of the pessimist, a recipe for the keep blinding. Need something to sit on all the time, for the talking school, for the talk is cheap, for the tax, the poor, fat, and the rich, and the paper, and over the dollar bin for the rich, and listen to the history, repeated brilliant milestone for the tone. Tomorrow's come sooner than thinking. Have any change to spare for the poor tortured soul, for the living oppressed and the polluted view.